Hello there, Deadly Habit here, bringing you a special guest today. We've got an interview with Pulver, the developer behind the recent indie smash hit, if I say so myself, Offspring Fling, which you saw me do a video for earlier on my channel. But yeah, first I want to thank you for taking the time, and if you'd be so kind as to introduce yourself, Kyle.
Okay, like you said, my name is Kyle Pulver, and I'm a 25-year-old video game maker person. I live in Tempe, Arizona, and aside from just releasing Offspring Fling, I'm also working on a game called Snapshot.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Offspring Fling real quick. And what's your background in development, actually? Do you have any, say, schooling behind it, or just taught yourself?
Well, it's kind of a mix of both. I started out trying to make games when I was like really young. Like ever since I was playing a Nintendo when I was like 3 years old, I was always like curious on how the actual like video game was created. And then because I used to think it was like a series of images that were just being like showed like to me animation. I imagine that the developers used to draw out the entire screen like for every possible case. Luckily that's not how it's done. But
thankfully.
Yeah, so growing up I got into click and play when I was like 11 or 12 years old, which is like this really weird game making software from this company that still exists, Click Team. They still make game making stuff. And that I played around with that as a kid, and then I just got more and more into like computers and electronics, and as I progressed I just kept trying to make games like every once in a while. I never finished anything as a child. I was just like always I'll spend a day.
One idea to
I could never finish like anything. And then I went to college at Clarkson University, which is in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York.
Yes, I'm in the middle of upstate New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm actually in Rochester, New York.
Oh,
Western
okay.
New York, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, Western, yeah.
Everything that's not New York City is upstate, according to everybody else.
I grew up near Albany.
Ah, okay.
So, I went to college for the actual major, or like the my piece of paper that I graduated with says digital art and sciences. And so it was like a combination of like learning some art stuff and also learning programming, and then like a bunch of math and stuff.
Yeah, all the fun stuff. I get to go.
So yeah, it was basically like, I mean, they didn't really like. There was no class that I took that was just like, here's how to make video games. It was more like, it was a bunch of stuff
that. Comp sci, here's some design features.
Yeah. So when I was in college, I was working on this game called Bonesaw the Game, which was like ended up being like my first ever like officially released and like playable game. And so yeah, it was I've always like pursued it on my own, and then like going to college for that specific like major really helped with like making sure that I learned like things that I needed to know to like program stuff and like draw stuff and all that kind of junk.
Yes, all the fun stuff. Yeah, but obviously, Offspring Fling does have some. I mean, what drew me to it was I saw that advertisement that looked like an SNES box, and I was like, oh shit, are they making is it another one of those indie devs making a new SNES cart? Then I was like, oh wait, I don't have to shell out $60 for a new cart.
Yeah.
But yeah, that drew the influence in, and it's obviously influenced by the old SNES games. But
yeah, totally.
What would you call some of the influences that started off pretty much the whole process of making that game?
Let's see. I don't know. It's like, I think it's just like a collection of all the influences that are just sort of mashed together in my head that I can't really like decipher anymore. Yeah. Where it's like, I mean, I made the main character like a ball with like ears and stuff, and so that's like, well, there's the Kirby influence right there.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's a bastard child of Kirby, Yoshi, and Pikachu if they had sex or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really like think about it when I was making the character. I was just like, oh yeah, what would be fun and easy to animate? And I just drew a ball with the ears and like little arms. And then eventually I was just like, oh yeah, that's pretty much like Kirby. And then it's pretty much like all this Super Nintendo games and like Genesis games that I really liked as a kid, because like I feel like that was when like when I was playing through Super Nintendo games that I really, really liked, that was when I feel like my dream of making games was like its strongest. Where I was just like, damn, I want to make games like this, like. So that's why I did the whole like Super Pretendo box art thing, because it's just like part of fulfilling this childhood dream of like wanting to make a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, unfortunately, which costs a whole bunch if you do it now. I think there's a new Super Nintendo title coming out in a couple months.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's like $60 or something like that. Though, like, oh god.
Just like the good old days.
Yeah, exactly. Except that now it's like, okay, I'm not gonna pay $60 for a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, I think like Kirby's obviously a big one. Like a lot of people have said that the game looks a lot like Yoshi's Island, but like I don't think I'm influenced that much by Yoshi's Island. I think it's just like I like the same colors that the artist
the kind of
Yoshi's Island likes.
well, yeah,
but I don't mind. I think it's very, very flattering that somebody would say it reminds them of Yoshi's Island. Let's see. Yeah, there's some stuff in Offspring Fling that is like, I think it's sort of influenced by stuff like Super Metroid a little bit, even, where it's like,
okay.
I always think of the wall jump from Super Metroid, where like so many people talk about how much the controls for the wall jump sucked, but I thought they were awesome because it's like this really hard move to pull off. Yeah, it's like it's so hard to do, and when you finally like are able to do it consistently, you can like skip like entire sections of the game. So it's like I always put stuff in my games where it's like it's like sort of like exploiting it, but if you figure it out and you master it, then you can like suddenly like become like a million times better at the game. Yeah. So that, yeah, there's some like weird tricks in Offspring Fling that I feel like are somewhat influenced by the way that like Super Metroid was designed and like some of the other games for the Super Nintendo that just like let you exploit stuff.
Yeah, that's always a nice reward to actually reward players for being good and learning the control scheme and everything. How long did the game take you to actually develop?
I'm estimating it took like 6 or 7 months, because like I started it last May, and it was just like a game jam project that I started like during a weekend.
You'd be surprised how many people I talk to that's where their main development ideas come from. They're like,
yeah, it's
I was
amazing.
doing this 48-hour game jam, and I came up with this concept, and now 6 months down the line, I'm doing it as a full project.
Yeah, it's probably the best way to do it. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll think about that in a second, but like, yeah, because I worked on it, and then I didn't work on it for like 2 or 3 months because I was working on a different project on the side. Because like basically what I'm doing is like, it's like most of the time I'm working on Snapshot, which is like a big project, and then I'm working on like other smaller projects on the side.
Yeah, I think a lot.
So yeah. So then I think Offspring Fling, I like resumed work on it in like August or September, and then I just worked on it all the way through as like my side project until like last week, I guess.
Yeah, until last week when you released it.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, so you want to share anything about Snapshot? I mean, you've been getting quite a bit of press for Offspring Fling, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, Snapshot's been a longer term project, so I mean, it's had its fair share of press. It's just like I'm sure it'll get a lot more when it's actually released. But yeah, Snapshot is like the bigger game I've been working on, where it's a puzzle platformer that revolves around like a photography mechanic, where you can take photos of the world and you can capture objects in the photos and then paste them back out into the world, and then use that to solve puzzles and like all that kind of stuff.
I think there's a little similar something like that with Braid, I'd say, kind of with the puzzle sections where you had the puzzle pieces to build platforms.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but God, nothing's original anymore.
Yeah, I don't try to be original. I just copy the games that I loved as a kid.
Hey, that's a good thing to do. Obviously, there's the people in my age who around 29, your age 25. We're getting older and we love the old SNES games now.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people don't remember them, unfortunately.
Yep.
God, so how do you feel about getting all this press all of a sudden? Most of it's that I've seen has been very, very positive.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I feel like it's kind of it's kind of like a double-edged sword maybe, because it's like, let's see, how do I phrase this? Like, I mean, I'm super excited about all the good press, and I'm, you know, and it's like been like, you know, one of my best game releases like ever, because it's just like been everywhere, and it's like the first game that I've sold ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been super exciting and super awesome, but now it's just like, I feel like there's also like now pressure on me.
Yeah, pressure
to like to keep making games as good as Offspring Fling, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what if like my next game isn't as good, and then like I don't know, but I'm a very anxious person. So.
I think a lot of people like that are. I mean, God, I do music. I'm doing game development. I haven't released anything though, but yeah, I think in order to be a good artist, you have to be kind of anxious of every release.
Yeah, I think the best thing is though is that like as like a creative person or like an artist or whatever, it's like when you release something that's like kind of crappy, then like nobody will talk about it. So then like nobody will know that you just released this crappy thing. Like everyone will just know that like everyone will just know that you've done like these super great things, because like everyone just only talks about the really good ones.
Or you could be BioWare.
Oh yeah. I guess when you get to a certain point, like everyone is watching you like a hawk, and then I don't want to get to that point.
the slightest bit of mistake in it, and the public turns on you real quick.
Yeah, man. Well, that's funny, because like I feel like I used to be one of those gamers that used to just totally like post comments on like everything and like argue back and forth about like this stuff, and like talk about how games are like, this game is like crap and that game is crap. But then like as I got more into game development, I realized that like it's like these games are made by like actual like people, like humans. You know, it's like if you go online and you're like, you know, this game sucks or whatever, then like I don't know, that's actually like probably going to affect like negatively the person that made that game. So it's like I can't do that anymore. I just can't like participate in that community.
I find myself slipping every once in a while if I've had something to drink. Like recently, I saw Notch announcing that game, and he's like, oh, and I see it everywhere like published. It's like Notch announces game, Notch announces space game. I'm like,
yeah.
So of course I had a little bit of whiskey. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go on Twitter real quick. At Notch. It's like, so how do you feel that your game just gets all this attention by announcing a title, and all these space sims that have been doing it for years get no attention?
Yeah.
So of course he didn't respond back, but yeah, that was one of those things. It's like, oh god, it's like it's one of those double-edged swords. It's like, oh god, there's these awesome series that have been around, like Avacron, which have been doing, like, it's one guy doing a space sim and he's on like his third one, and like full out things, and it's like, oh great. Notch has one hit with Minecraft. No offense, it's a good game and everything, but all of a sudden he's like the face of indie developers. I mean, how do you feel about that as an indie dev?
I think it's like, I don't know, like I think it's good just because like if Notch is the face of indie games, then I feel like he is like a very good one, just because
he occasionally puts his foot in his mouth.
but like, I mean, I feel like anyone that has like 600,000 followers is like
exactly
gonna do that. But like he definitely points people towards more games. Like, I mean, and I'm saying this only because he tweeted about Offspring Fling.
Yeah, I saw that.
But seriously, like he actually like, you know, will like
he's actually involved in the indies.
Yeah. Like if you follow his Twitter or whatever, like all these like Minecraft fans like follow his Twitter, and then he's posting about like, hey, check out these other games that people are making, and suddenly that person that, you know, just knew Minecraft is now
free publicity.
Yeah. I feel like he's bringing people into the community as like a whole, and not just like, you know, just getting Minecraft fans. So
I know all too well I've made the mistake of doing some Minecraft mod videos and stuff like that, and God, all of a sudden the fans expect you to do nothing but Minecraft videos. but you get a whole bunch of hits, I'll say that much.
Yeah. Crap, what was I going to say? Oh yeah,
actually,
so like,
well, yeah, finish your thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Notch has brought all this attention to like game jams and stuff, because like he's been entering like Ludum Dare for like a couple years now, but like after Minecraft came out, like now when he enters Ludum Dare and like live streams it, he gets like thousands of viewers just watching him, you know, game jam. And like, sure, there's like a part of me that's just like, well, what the fuck? Like, we've been game jamming for like this, like what? Like, how come I like? Yeah, it's like that kind of frustration. But at the same time, it's just like, yeah, he's just like bringing in all these people that are just like now aware of game jams and are now aware of these competitions, and like Ludum Dare's entries have like skyrocketed ever since like Notch released Minecraft and then entered Ludum Dare. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good thing. It's like you said. It's kind of a double-edged sword. There's kind of that little jealousy factor. Like, what the fuck? We've been doing this for so long.
Yeah, you just can't help it. It's just like.
Oh yeah, I know. It's. I mean, even you get the people that just blindly hate on Notch because he's successful. He's not indie anymore or something like that. But,
oh yeah, that's stupid.
yeah, well, he didn't deliver on this promise that he made months ago, which is why I say he puts his foot in his mouth sometimes, just because he has his Twitter and he's so open about things.
Yeah.
Which comes back because Minecraft doesn't exactly have the most mature fan base. Oh god. But yeah, going back to like say message board comments and things like that. So obviously you've been there, read them. You made Offspring Fling and Flash, didn't you?
Yes.
So yes, let's go into this. A lot of times you'll see people in comments make comments about the validity of Flash as a language.
Right.
If you could try and sway them one way, because you'll often see people, I don't buy Flash games, pay for Flash games, haha, or Flash isn't a valid language or something like that. What would you say to try and convert them over, or try and change their mind a bit?
I don't know if I can like wait. I don't know if I can say anything to change their mind, because it just seems like a really like childish thing to say.
Oh, yeah,
and I just feel like if they had like the short answer is I would tell them to grow up. But like the long term answer is like I feel like once they like I don't know, like I have a hard time picturing anything as like a valid language. I can understand like if you were to say Flash isn't as powerful as a language like C++, which that makes sense. But like to try to say like this language isn't valid or that language isn't like real enough or whatever, like that's just like I feel like there's no point in even trying to argue against a mentality like that. Just because like I can't even imagine like this person having any sort of like reason to argue.
Of course, they've obviously never tried using Flash, and if they have, probably made some childish movie or something that was on Newgrounds.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think about what their complaint actually is, because it's like people like were
kind of a saturation of Flash games on, say, like Congregate or Newground and all these free games and stuff that come out. But then again, a lot of them are just really simple and basic concepts.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like if those people have played like really bad Flash games, and they get kind of like a wrong impression of like, or not wrong, but that's their impression of Flash games. Exactly. It's like these crappy web browser games, but it's like well, no, it's like the tool doesn't make the game. The person like using the tool makes the game. So it's like if somebody can use Flash really, really, really well to make a good game, then it shouldn't matter. And
yeah, I mean, like look at the commercial success of Binding of Isaac.
Right.
How much that's
yeah, and Binding of Isaac was probably one of the most like
or Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, well, Meat Boy was originally Flash.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it was done in like a crazy engine that Tommy made. But it's like, yeah, Binding of Isaac had a lot of complaints about that, but I think it's only because it was so popular.
Yeah, and I think people were expecting native controller support. But
so I feel like I don't know. I'm working on native controller support right now for Offspring Fling, and I'm pretty sure I'm.
Is it possible to do in
able
Flash?
To do it. It's not possible to do in Flash, but it's possible to do it when you publish a Air application.
Ah, okay.
So, because like Air does this thing, like Adobe has like this thing that's like native extensions, and you can sort of do like the DLL file thing with native extensions. It's just like a pain in the ass to get it set up and working. So.
Okay, that's probably why more developers don't do it.
Yeah, it is a giant pain, and it's not apparent. Like, it's not apparent at all that you can do it. Like, the only thing I could find was, like, this lone blog post on some, like, random blog that looks like, it's kind of sketchy a little bit. And it's just like, what the hell is this? And it's like, oh yeah, this is joystick support for Adobe Air applications in Windows. And it's just like, oh, okay. And then like, there's no like, I don't know. I figured
actual documentation about it.
Yeah, there's like minimal documentation. It's just like I would imagine that like I would have really thought by now that somebody would just be like, you know, here you go. Here's the native extension for the Xbox 360 controller. Like, here you go. Here's the native extension for like whatever, you know, like Steamworks. Yeah, like. I don't know, like, the potential is there, it's just that, like...
Nobody's utilized it yet.
Right. And I think it's just because there's so much friction, you know, it's just like you have to... If the extension doesn't exist, you have to create it from scratch yourself, and then implement it into your project, which is, like, another, like, boss fight, pretty much, like...
Yeah, it'd be nice if Adobe actually cared about their customers to some degree. I was reading... Actually, recently that Adobe is thinking about charging more for licenses based on unit sales. Now that this is your first commercial title, how do you feel about that?
I feel like Adobe is really stupid for doing that. But at the same time, there's also the argument of like, I didn't pay anything to make this game really, except for like Photoshop and graphic scale, because Flash Develop is totally free for Windows. And then the Flex SDK, you can just download it. There's no like you don't have to pay for it or anything. Exactly. So, like developing a Flash game for Windows at least is totally free. So, like in one instance, I'm not their customer because I've not paid them anything. But I think that it's going to just hurt the Flash as a platform. Like it just seems like a really bad way to try to monetize it.
Yeah, kind of punishing. It's if you're successful, you pay us more money.
Right, and like, I think UDK does the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's so many different development tools available now, like UDK, Unity, Flash. I mean, you can start making games for free easily.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think I don't know. And the weird thing is that like the 9% thing for Flash is only if you use certain features. So for me, like Offspring Fling, I didn't use any of
those features. So.
Yeah. So
I'm sure they'll start including them if you hit the level of commercial success of say something like Minecraft. I think their rules might change real quick.
Yeah, if I hit the commercial success of something like Minecraft, I'd be so far above the rules, though, man.
I'll pay someone to make my own engine.
No, but yeah, it's weird, and that's a good argument. Is like, what if they start taking other things and start saying like, well, this is now a premium feature? Then all the Flash developers are going to be in trouble because it's just like, I don't know. It's a really weird move to make. I don't understand it at all.
Well, it seems like that and major publishers or even game companies like EA or God, it's so easy to talk shit about EA or Activision or someone like that. But I mean, they seem to like punishing their legit customers. And
yeah, it sucks.
It'd be weird if you start seeing the development tools start doing that as well.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, I don't know what they're after really. Like Adobe is like, are they after like like a Facebook game that uses Flash and uses like their feature and makes like $1 billion or something like that? Like I don't really know.
It just seemed like a weird move that I read that. I'm like, you don't see that many Flash games that are commercial that make that much money, but it's like. It's like, why are they trying to punish their developers all of a sudden? Like, yeah,
it's really weird. Like, I feel like everything
pushes them
does,
to other tools.
Right, and it is like people are going to just start being like, well, HTML5 looks good to me now, and then just like go to the
looks good. Unity looks good.
Right.
God, the other thing, God, just lost my train of thought for a second.
Well, we've been all over the place, man. We've been taking sharp turns.
Exactly.
Going down different paths.
That's why my interviews tend to go. Well, usually I do them by email, so it's easier to gather some thoughts and then bounce them back and forth.
Right.
God. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Comments. The other comments. People who only buy their games on Steam. How do you feel about that one? Since you tried to get on Steam with this.
I'm still trying to get on Steam, and I think that everyone that posts a comment like that is great because
it does pressure.
Because Yeah, I'm just copying and pasting those comments and then sending them to Steve.
Yeah, because right now you're on you used the Humble store for your own page. Didn't you just
Yeah.
get on Desura as well?
Yeah, the game. Yeah, it's on the Humble Store and Desura right now.
Okay, so yeah, you got a couple avenues.
Yeah.
God, let me think. What are some of the other good indie ones? I know I found a lot of games and stuff like that through Indievania as well, which is
Oh, okay, yeah.
another one which is kind of odd. They kind of take anything though. So I've had some nice disappointments through them. Like Xbox 360. I think the only real negative review I ever did was an Xbox 360 port that was on there for like $1 or something. I'm like, I want my money back.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's bad when it's like a $2 game and you're like, yeah, I want my money back. But yeah,
I want to go buy a soda instead.
yeah, exactly. I could have bought a Big Mac and gotten fatter. I could have bought a
You could have bought a Big Mac in maybe like 1991 for that amount of money.
God knows, I haven't been to fast food in ages. Oh man, yeah, I want my $2 so I could buy a 40 ounce or something and waste my life.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it was one of those lovely things where it was pretty much you could tell it was just direct port and like their advertising for it, their trailer was all the footage was sped up and stuff like that. So I'm expecting like all this good handling and stuff like that. Then I get to playing it and I'm like, this is nothing like what it was advertised.
Oh, weird.
And it's like, okay, one of the nice things where it's like, oh yes, it's only mapped out for an Xbox 360 controller. No thought of actual PC players.
Oh, weird. That's really bizarre.
Yeah, because I noticed, Xbox 360... Well, you know this as a developer, probably Xbox 360 controllers different than standard HID ones.
Yeah.
Which is always lovely when you get a game and it's like, oh, it's for PC now, and oh, it's got controller support, but oh, it's only Xbox 360.
Yeah, it's because of the X input
great.
stuff.
Yeah, it's... Oh, God. I know that from trying to develop stuff. I'm working on SDL and C and C++.
Yeah, I stay away from those.
Yeah, I've been doing... Oh, God, I started doing assembly when I was like 12 years old. God, those old TI-83 calculators making games on those.
Oh, yeah, I'm got a couple of games on there.
Yeah, those.
Those
I
are
think
bad.
a lot of people start with those when you're in high school. Oh, I'm bored. I'm bored in math class. You have this calculator that has basic language.
Yeah, man.
It's like, oh, okay. I can make drug wars. I can play games during class.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I think. Huh. Anything else you want to share with us? While I try and think of more questions.
I don't know. Think of more questions, I guess.
Well, fuck you too. No. God, what would you? What kind of words of encouragement would you give to someone who wants to start making games?
Let's see. I think you need to be careful of the. There's two paths, right? I think there's one path that leads to making games, and there's one path that leads to like programming. And if you want to make games, just like try to make games. Like don't try to like build an engine yourself first, and then like get trapped in that like cycle.
There's a lot of people. God, see, I'm right now. I have to go to get lovely jobs. I have to go to school at almost 30 to get a nice comp sci degree. Even though I know how to program. It's one of those double-edged swords.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, I'm working on a game with my own engine. Like you said, that's one of those pitfalls. But at the same time, I'm working, like you, I'm working on multiple projects. At the same time, I'm also working on a point-and-click adventure right in AGS. So I had the tools right there. And it's like, okay, well, I guess when I get stuck, which is probably kind of the same mentality you have, get stuck on something or get sick of working on something, you can bounce to the other thing that's easier to do.
Yeah, the main advantage of having multiple projects is to like be able to bounce around, but then the negative of that is that like sometimes you'll just like not finish anything for a really long
wayside
time.
Or end up with a whole bunch of prototypes and nothing finished.
Yeah, but I mean like sometimes like a game will be unfinished just because like it didn't just like it's not like coming together that well, or it's just like not really like clicking or something like that. And there's like nothing wrong with just being like, yeah, this idea isn't working well. Like I'm just gonna do something else. Like,
oh God, who's the one that's infamous for all the awesome projects? Konjac.
Yeah,
he is infamous for never finishing anything, and having all those awesome projects. He's finished like 1 or 2 games, and I hope he finished Iconoclasts.
Yeah,
but he's.
I'm talking to him right now. So finish Iconoclasts. Motherfucker.
What was that? He had good adventure game concepts. Sweet. Tell him to finish that adventure game concept shooter one too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got so much stuff. That's,
yeah, he's got so many proof of concepts and like prototypes. Like, oh, this is working nice. And they're all so polished. That's the problem, I think. It's like you see it as like it's such a polished work in progress, and everyone's like, oh, this is awesome. And then, yeah, I'm working on this now.
Yeah, I think he just needs to believe in himself more. Konjak, if you're out there listening.
Yes, Konjak, if you're listening to this, yes, finish your work. Everybody loves them. Your games have been streamed. People love playing them. Just finish them.
Yeah, actually, that's a good tip for people starting out. Is that like, the actual act of finishing a game is its own skill in game development. You know, it's like you have art, music, sound, programming, finishing it.
Yeah. Especially if you're just one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is there... Let me think. Obviously, you went to school for some programming and stuff like that, but you're using Flash. Would you say there's a barrier to entry making your own games at this point with all the development tools that are out there, like UDK, Unity, Flash, versus traditional programming? Would you say that's a barrier for anyone at this point?
I don't think so. I think the only barrier that really exists is the ones that people construct for themselves, where they're just like, this is too hard for me, or like I don't want to sit down and learn this, or something like that. Where it's just like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, that's the only thing that I think is that, like, there are tools out there to make like any kind of game that you want. It's just you need to still
sit down and learn them.
Yeah, you still need to become like proficient enough in them to like really understand what's going on. And like, I think the biggest problem is that like people will have like their dream game in mind, and then
and they can't make it. It's their first game.
Yeah, and that's like a really frustrating experience. And then that like, you know, just it just paints the situation like really poorly, where it's just like, oh man, this is like way too hard. I can't figure anything out. But it's just like, if you go to a game jam environment where you're just gonna like sit down for the weekend and make something that you don't care about at all, then that can become a way better experience than trying to sit down and like make your dream game as soon as you start.
Yeah, I think those competitions just getting people out of some of that mentality, and also it's also spawning a lot of awesome game ideas too that people are finishing up.
Yeah.
The other hurdle, I think you could probably speak on this, going to school somewhat for programming.
Mm-hmm.
That degree sounds just so weird. Computer.
Yeah, digital arts and sciences.
I'm gonna have to look that one up and see if it's a real degree, if you're just bullshitting me.
Oh, well, I have the piece of paper, but I don't know if... I don't know.
Yeah, it must be one of those upstate New York things.
Yeah, it's only applicable in upstate New York.
But no, I think I've also seen people with that mentality that they have the idea that you have to go to school in order to learn how to program, and won't go out and try and find the knowledge themselves.
Yeah. That's bad.
It's one of those things that I think is kind of weird. Like, oh, I have to do it in C++. Well, I'm waiting till I go for comp sites. Like, why don't you pick up a book about C++ in the meantime? Well, yeah, I could do that, but I'm going to school for it anyways. Well, you might have an advantage when you get to class.
Well, yeah, and that's like the exact barrier that I was talking about. Is that like... Yeah,
self-constructed barriers.
Yeah, like the people, like... I don't know, like being a game developer, especially an independent game developer, it's like you have to be like one of the most self-motivated people like in the world.
And eat
like
lots of ramen. Eat lots of ramen and drink lots of chocolate.
During the dark times you can get to eat ramen, but there are
sell
upsides.
Your own blood.
Hey, man.
To buy body fluids out there.
But yeah, it's like I remember being in school and like I was doing this stuff on my own free time all the time. I was always trying to make games, and I was always trying to like, you know, learn Photoshop and whatever like paint software I was using, and always trying to like to learn more stuff about like game logic. And I spent a lot of time as a kid actually like trying to just like straight up clone like Super Nintendo games or NES games, just because like I wanted to like deconstruct them. And when I got to school, like when I actually took my first digital art class and like the teacher like handed out the syllabus, I looked at it and I was just like, yeah, this is awesome. I already know how to use all of this software. And never like people in the class are just like, how do you know how to use this stuff already? And it's just like, this is what I do for fun.
Yeah.
Like, isn't this what you guys do for fun? And they're just like, what? No. And I was just like, well, what are you doing here? Like,
we go out to clubs on the weekend.
yeah, it's like, no, you should be inside making games.
Yeah, I always love that disconnect from people. Like I do electronic music and stuff like that. Had some success with that, but people are like, "Oh, how come I don't see you at parties this weekend or this club night or this club night?" It's like, because I'm at home figuring out how to make the music you're dancing to.
Yeah, it's just like that's what, but that's like what is satisfying to you, though, right? It's like that's what
exactly. It's
satisfies that like itch. Yeah, it's like sometimes like, it's like if my friends are being like, oh, we're gonna go out to dinner tonight, or we're gonna go hang out at this place tonight, I'm just like, sometimes I just cannot do that because like
I just want
so yeah.
It's like have that motivation.
I want so badly to just sit in my chair and like make this feature work in this game, or like do another art pass on this level or something like that. Just like,
well, that's probably reflective in how successful Offspring Fling's been, honestly. That you actually take time and put the effort and the time into it.
Yeah, it's.
Whereas you're passionate about it and not just treating it as kind of a job.
Right. I mean, it's definitely not a job, just because I just feel like it's what I do to like satisfy some sort of like desire in my brain. That's just like, I need to do this, and I don't really know why, but I'm just going to do it because like I don't know. It's like people have asked me like, oh, why do you make games? And I'm just like, I have no idea.
Satisfy my own curiosities.
Yeah, it's like I have no idea why I make games. I've never really questioned it. I just accept my fate and I just do it.
well, here's my next question for you. Why do you make games?
No.
God, that's one of those things I think every creative person kind of has a hard time answering. Why do you do this? It's like, well, it's just some sort of drive I have.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just totally. I don't know. Like some artists do have this like really strong like reason, and I'm like, I feel totally jealous of that. It's like, like I wish I had like this awesome like couple of sentences.
My mother told me.
Yeah, like I wish I had that.
Sometimes I question that. It makes for a really good story and good selling point for your art. Like, oh, it's this painting's an inner turmoil of myself. Bullshit. But no, wow, we've been going at it for a while now, actually.
Yeah. Skype says 42 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes. Let me think. We've talked about Snapshot. God. Talked about... what haven't we talked about?
We talked about everything, man.
God, what's the one thing I've been asking? Oh, yes. Okay, Kickstarter and alpha funding. How do you feel about that?
I think it's amazing. I think that I was really, really excited when the whole Double Fine thing happened.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, just because like all of a sudden it just seems like
there's a lot of franchises from my childhood that are coming back and getting sequels all of a sudden.
It's like, hey, all those kids that loved our games now are adults with money.
Yeah, exactly. Like what? You want $15 to get this going? That's all you need? Okay, here you go. Yeah,
and so it was like, the Double Fine thing was really awesome because it was like, a big studio, or not, like they're not big, right? They're still like only 50 people or something.
They're still a quote unquote indie studio, but they have big name talent behind them.
Yeah, they're established. Let's say, like, I mean,
which is a lot of what these Kickstarters that are getting money are now.
Right, and that's like really exciting to me because like at first like Kickstarter was just like, oh, this one guy wants like $2,000 to make this little game, and it's like, okay, well, we can do that.
To go that route, like, come on, I'll make a creative little Kickstarter video. I can use $2,000 to live for a few months and just work on my games.
Right, and so like the most exciting thing about the Double Fine thing is that like it just seems like that we could like we're right on the edge of entering this like era where the middleman isn't necessary anymore. It's like,
exactly, where the publishers where they say, well, there's no market for this game, and obviously there is when you see the numbers come out.
Yeah, like
maybe not enough for their investors, but obviously enough for the fans.
Yeah, like a world without publishers, I feel like would be very interesting. And
yeah, so do I.
I feel like we're getting closer and closer to that. as Kickstarter becomes more and more popular, and like more and more people like are now like pitching in, like the overall like effect of that Double Fine thing has like raised
it's
like
been
the
a nice
average.
ripple effect.
Yeah, it's insane. And so
yeah, you've seen a lot of projects like that was the biggest Kickstarter they had, and now you have projects that are getting into the millions as well.
right. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and
before it was like you had people that were having a hard time getting a few grand together. Like,
yeah, and I used to say like, oh man, like you know, with all this stuff like Steam and whatever like popping up, it's like now like, you know, it's ever since like the console days, it's just becoming more and more open to like anyone that just wants to jump in and try it themselves. Like, oh yeah, like I don't know, because like I feel like
the consoles seem to be going in the backwards direction.
oh yeah, no, yeah, fuck that. Like the consoles are, I don't know, like
you have to pay to be an indie developer for consoles. Like you have to pay for the license, pay to get like in their stores. Like Xbox 3, the Xbox store I've heard is ridiculous about that. Like Xbox.
Well, crap, I don't know.
I think it was Tim that actually said in order to update a game on Xbox Live, it costs like $40,000 to get it.
Oh, okay, right. I don't know about that number, but I think that's true.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some ring of truth. I mean, obviously they can't go spouting all the numbers off. Probably some sort of EU.
Yeah, there's NDAs and stuff that you know, but yeah, because I actually just like recently answered this question on this one article that was just like, you know, why did you release Offspring Fling on PC and Mac and not something like Xbox? And I was just like, well, you know how hard it is to make a game for a console?
Yeah,
like,
because they use their specific like XNA, like you said earlier, and C#.
Yeah, and whenever I see comments come up on the internet about like indie games where it'll be like just some video or something of a game, and then people are being like, oh man, like why don't you just bring this to PS3 and Xbox and Steam? It's just like it's like, and I don't
how much money that would cost or how much extra work it would be.
Well, yeah, it's work and money, like, because it's just like I honestly just think that, you know, that commenter or those people that say that are just
they're just oblivious.
Yeah, they're just ignorant, and it's not their fault. It's like, so I can't really get mad at them for saying it because they're just excited. You know, they're just like, oh, it's a cool game. I want it to be on all my yeah. But the problem is that like asking that is just like so insane. Like it's a completely different world. Like developing a game on PC and Mac where you have total freedom to do whatever you want as long as you can just sell it or whatever.
Or even just release it free, or just pay what you want.
Yeah.
Which is another nice thing. You have so many avenues for actually delivering a game on PC versus a console. Yeah,
and there's no need for like an ESRB rating. There's no approval board. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like one of the streamers the other day, he interviewed Alchemy Labs with the guys Smuggle Truck.
Yeah, I know those guys.
Well, Snuggle Truck. So yeah, he went into that a little bit with how Apple and that got changed around. That was a nice little thing to listen to.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, I don't see any competition coming for indies, like specifically on the consoles, because you have one outlet which is just the console shop. Mm-hmm. Whereas on PC you have like Desura, you have Indievania, you can sell it yourself.
Right.
Steam, obviously the biggest one, and they're actually because you read I think you commented, I've read something you were commenting on one of them. Jonathan Blow met with them. And,
oh right.
Or was it someone was commenting? I think it might have been in one of the comments about why this hasn't come to Steam yet. Someone was like, why hasn't it come to Steam yet? And it's like, oh, he's applied to Steam, but Jonathan Blow just met with Steam trying to get more indie attention.
Yeah, there was a mention on the Penny Arcade article.
Yeah,
the Penny Arcade article. It was like, because I think that was referencing the stuff that Jonathan Blow was talking about, where like the Steam submission process is just like it's totally just a mess right now.
Could you walk us through what that actually is for those of us who aren't familiar?
Well, for me, it was just like an email conversation with them because it was like there's a submission form, there's an official submission form, and the only one I could find on the internet was labeled like the 2011 submission form, and I was like, oh, okay, so I don't know if this is like hasn't been updated yet or something. So then I tried to submit the game, and whenever I clicked submit, it would just refresh the page, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not really sure if that's submitted. And then, so I thought I had submitted, like, by the end of that night, I was like, well, either I submitted the game 40 times or it didn't work.
Either way, I'm getting someone's attention somehow.
So yeah, then eventually, like, somebody introduced me to somebody at Steam, and then I talked with them for a while, and it turned out that they had not gotten my submission at all, like, through the form. And I was just like, okay. So then it was a back and forth, just talking about the game and all this kind of stuff, and then like, I submitted it to to somebody else to, I guess, like, officially review it, and then a couple weeks went by, and then I got an email that was just like the verdict. It was just like, yeah, sorry, this isn't.
We don't think
like,
it's proceeding.
Right, yeah, and I was just like, well, that sucks, because, like, at the time, I had just, like, released the trailer and stuff, and, like, everyone, like, not everybody, but, like, it was getting attention, and there was so much positive momentum going that I didn't even, like, consider the possibility that it would be rejected from Steam. And so, like, I just remember, like, yeah, I was just like, I just, like, remember, like, getting that email and just being like, you know, it's really hard not to just feel
sinking.
Yeah, just like, yeah, it's really hard not to feel just, like, personally hurt, you know. There was just like, or it's just like,
Yes,
like,
it's hard.
it's like, oh man, like, it looks like I don't have a prom date this year.
Steam doesn't want to date me.
Yeah, Steam didn't want to go to prom with me, and but yeah, I don't know. I'm starting up to, like, I'm trying to get their attention again right now.
Well, obviously they should be getting some attention now. I mean, God, there's been articles on Penny Arcade, Rock Paper Shotgun, indie games.
Yeah, it's totally awesome.
Yeah, there's been a lot of publicity about it. So I mean, hopefully Gabe sees it. I mean, you should email Gabe.
Oh my God, I had this ridiculous, crazy dream where the gist of it was, in the dream, Gabe Newell himself put Offspring Fling on Steam, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing.
It happened.
And then
you just need to send him an email.
Yeah, then in the dream, I was thinking like, man, this is great. Hopefully this isn't a dream. And then I woke up, and I was like, damn.
It's okay. Me and a couple of my buds, we sent Gabe poems trying to get CS:GO keys. I think I sent him. What did I send him? Oh yeah, I sent him on Roses Are Red, Violets Are Blue. I'd like episode 3, but CS:GO will do. Can I please have a beta key? So yeah, I know he reads all the emails, so it's one of those funny things.
Yeah, they're all in Hawaii right now, though. So
yeah, of course.
I gotta wait for them to get back and start hounding them again.
Yeah. Was issue you're not at say PAX or something this weekend? Just cost?
Yeah, I didn't end up going to PAX because I went to GDC.
Ah, okay.
And so
how was that?
Yeah, GDC was awesome. It always is.
Did you have a booth there? Or?
Oh no, I just went to
just one as a yeah.
Yeah, I went to the Independent Game Summit just to see all the talks, and then it's mostly just to see all of my friends that I don't get to see like any other time because they're just all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure I've got plenty of those friends that I've never actually met in person. That a convention would probably be one of the best places. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, I totally would have gone to PAX if my travel budget was bigger this year, but I am an indie game developer.
People buy Offspring Fling so you can meet Kyle at PAX next year.
Yeah, I'll probably end up going to the West PAX, the PAX Prime or whatever.
Yeah, because that's closer to you. Us poor East Coast people where nothing really ever happens.
Actually, like, isn't PAX East like
PAX
the biggest?
East, right, in Boston.
Yeah, it's like the biggest like games convention like ever or something like that. It outgrew the West one.
Yeah. Just, God, it's in Boston. It's so damn expensive. I think because some of the people where I post these interviews and like my videos and stuff on Vine, so I was like, one of the regular viewers, that's how we got to know like the Alchemy Lab people. She did art for him originally.
Mm-hmm.
But she's at PAX East, and she's like, oh, who's coming to PAX East? And it's like, yeah, I'd love to come, but it's in Boston, and Boston's expensive.
Yeah, GDC is in San Francisco, which is just like...
Yeah, San Francisco's expensive, too.
It's like, oh yeah, like You had you had lunch? Oh, that'll be like $20. It's like, oh god,
You
I want to go back
sandwich?
to. Yeah, it's like I want to go back to Arizona where lunch is $6.
I think every city has those areas. Like even in Rochester, God, we have some like those fancy bistros and like the fancy area where it's like, oh yes, you just want a sandwich and a glass of water. Okay, that's $10. Like what? What? It's a sandwich.
Yeah, but the water's sparkling.
Yes, the water's sparkling. Yeah, okay, it's from a tap somewhere. Oh God. Yeah. Before we go off on any more tangents, God, it's almost been an hour.
I'm gonna cut this down and just leave it as it is.
Yeah. I think let's leave it at that.
Okay.
We shall release this in its raw form to YouTube. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but is there any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to leave people with?
Just thank you to everybody that bought Offspring Fling. It's very that's supporting me as a game developer. Like if you want me to make more things in the future, if you want me to be free of the corporate world, and able to make games, then that's the way to do it. Is to buy Offspring Fling.
I wholeheartedly support this message.
And if you're a game developer, then I heartily recommend game jamming as often as you can. It's incredibly exhausting, so don't do it too often. But you can stumble upon an idea that might lead you down a pretty awesome path. Yeah, and thank you to everybody that's saying nice things about Offspring Fling. You guys, that's very helpful. Specifically, this person right now that I'm talking to.
Yes, I'm awesome. I know that. I don't need any brown nosing. I've got enough of an ego.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Well, yeah. Thanks once again for taking your time out. Something that I thought would probably be a 15-minute interview turned into close to an hour.
Yeah, man. Well, we got on the upstate New York tangent train, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you hear that? Anybody else who's going to be doing interviews with me live? Yeah, I get like this. We go off on tangents up in upstate New York.
But it's good. It's a good like I don't know. I tend to like listening to podcast stuff where it's just like it's totally organic and it's just all over the place.
Well, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stop recording now. All right. Thanks to everybody who's listening, and yes, I'll have links underneath the description of where you can get Offspring Fling, Kyle's Twitter, all that relevant information where you can find cool stuff.